This is Women Driving the Industry with Cheyenne Malone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cheyenne Malone. Welcome to Women Driving the Industry on CBT News. Today, we turn our focus to Jenell Ross, the president of Bob Ross Auto Group. This year marks a significant milestone as the company celebrates its 50th anniversary, and notably, it stands as the only Buick, GMC, and Mercedes-Benz dealership owned by an African-American woman. Welcome to the show, Jenell.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, Cheyenne.
So, obviously there's history in your family of being a part of this auto group. Kind of explain how you got into it, because obviously your dad is the legacy.
My parents are the legacy, but I was fortunate enough to grow up in this wonderful industry from the time I was 4. So you can figure out how old I am from that. But always wanted to be in this industry and just appreciate the opportunity. The unfortunate thing is not having them here with us to celebrate this milestone.
You were able, though, to work with your mom alongside her, correct?
I actually worked with both of my parents, which is something that most people don't have the opportunity to do. And I'm very grateful for having that opportunity.
What was that dynamic like?
I worked during, growing up, summers, vacations, doing different things, whatever my dad would tell me to do, basically. And it wasn't until after I graduated from Emory University and came back home that I seriously started working alongside my dad. So I'm very glad that I decided to come back to Ohio and have that five and a half years of working with him, because who would have thought that he would have been taken from us at such an early age of 62. At that time, I was 27 years old. And I had started working on my MBA part-time and working at the dealership full-time. But it just, you never know what the next day is going to bring. But was just very grateful and fortunate to have the opportunity to work with him. And then after his passing, my mother became president. And so to have the opportunity to work with her was truly a blessing as well. And it was very interesting that sometimes they would think about and do something the same way, which I would not have envisioned prior to.
And, given your history, right, obviously you grew up around it. Was there ever a time that you thought maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should do something independently?
Well, always wanted to learn more about the industry and be involved. And one day was hopeful of being an automobile dealer, but I always thought that naturally he would be here to teach me that what I needed to know, as well as just be a part of it. So whenever I could, I would always, during elementary, high school, college, do a project, a paper, anything that was centered on the automobile industry so that I could continue my education and learning around this ever-changing industry.
And, obviously we don't see a ton of females in this industry. And your mom obviously was breaking the mold with that as well. And yourself, what do you say to others that maybe aspire or have an interest of getting in the auto industry?
Well,
other women?
there's definitely not enough of us based upon who the decision maker is in regards to the buying power of vehicles in our industry, new and used. And one thing that I always say is, there's always going to be those that don't want to see you succeed and will question the path that you want to take. But you do have to have the will and determination to continue to move forward for what you want to do. And fortunately, my dad never told me that I couldn't. My mother never told me that I couldn't. And I also had some really great mentors that were male and female, especially after my father passed, around me, that were very comforting and helpful in my quest to make sure that we did, continued my father's legacy. So the one thing that I always tell young ladies and even women that I meet that are in our industry or possibly don't know enough about our industry is that there is so much opportunity, maybe that they don't even want to be necessarily from an ownership perspective, but there's so much behind these walls that people don't know about that could definitely fit them for their career purposes.
What departments have you worked in?
So I got thrown into the fire. I would say I've especially after I graduated It was the early 90s, and my dad wanted me to set up and create our customer relations department. And he said, you went to college and to Emory and graduated. He said, so you should be able to figure this out. And I was like, okay. So a very hindsight's everything, because I had worked in the office, I had worked in sales, I had assisted in the service department. You definitely don't want me anywhere near fixing a vehicle. But the customer relations aspect of things really provided me the opportunity to work with all departments and all department managers, because you can have a concern or praise from every department. And it allowed me the opportunity to learn differently of those, uncovering things that I wasn't aware of. So, and little did I know that 5.5 years later, I would be thrust into the day-to-day leadership of our organization. So it really allowed me the opportunity to learn and grow with the management team in developing that, but also to have a better foundation of needing to work with them once he untimely passed.
And taking on a role like that, obviously, big shoes to fill, right?
I call them
Can you
boots
talk
to
to
fill.
Can you talk to me about, times that you maybe encountered obstacles and how you were able to overcome them?
Well, being a 27-year-old African American female in the auto industry in the late 90s is extremely different, or was extremely different. And unfortunately, that still rings true today in most of the circles that I am in. So naturally, there was a lot of questions. This is a dealer meeting. If you work for the manufacturer, which there's nothing wrong with working for a corporate from a GM or a General Motors or a Mercedes-Benz perspective, but there wasn't anyone else in the room that looked like me. So assuming that I may be with the travel agency who set up the meeting. So I felt very early on that I always was having to explain who I am and why I'm able to be in the room. And so over time, it just became a part of it. Not something that you want to continue to have to do, but it still can happen. And it's just, I see it as a way to educate those that may not understand that I don't have to look like them to do what they do.
Obviously being in the industry for decades, was there ever a time or moment that you questioned whether or not this industry was right for you?
I think we all may have that question at some point. We all have those days. But, the one thing that I do like is the opportunity to work with people. I do feel that we're helping our community satisfy a need. Purchasing a vehicle is typically the second highest ticketed item that someone is purchasing outside of their home. So for them to, feel the value in working with us, and that speaks volumes, as well as those repeat customers that we've had for decades. Those are the things that continue to drive me, and just seeing the excitement that even if it's someone who wanted a vehicle more so than needs a vehicle, that people have on their faces, and just being able to not have the same day twice. I don't think any day in our industry is ever the same, which I do like. And I ran into a former employee last night who decided to go back to school after being here she was here with us about 8 years. And she said, I just want to thank you. You gave me the opportunity, and I'm using what was taught to me in our accounting department every day, as I'm now an office manager. And that's what I wanted to strive for. But I went back and got my degree, and I needed to tell you this long before, but I just want to thank you. We know it doesn't always work that way, but those are the things that really, make it worthwhile for why we do what we do.
When you reflect back on your life so far, just getting started, right? Share with us some of your proudest moments, whether it be business related or just personally.
Definitely sitting here in our 50th year of business, being able to celebrate the legacy of my parents, of what they worked for, and knowing and not knowing how hard they worked to, for my dad to realize his dream of becoming an automobile dealer and being one of the first African American automobile dealers in this country. So I don't take lightly what I do. And even though it's been 27 years, I still, like I said earlier, feel that I'm still trying to fill the boots of him, not shoes. But I do just enjoy what I do. I do hope that they would be pleased and proud of what we've been doing the last 27 years. But being able to celebrate this 50th is definitely a huge milestone as a minority auto dealer, and as well as being a female auto dealer as well. Personally, I started the Norma J. Ross Memorial Foundation when my mother passed with breast cancer. And so this is our signature pin. My goddaughters came up with Pink Ribbon Driven. So we have that trademark trait. We're driven to find a cure for the pink ribbon. So that is truly a passion, or my passion, of really trying to advocate and educate women about their breast health, and helping them to hopefully not have to go through a breast cancer journey. But if so, we are there to help them and their families through that process and after. But really, we've been focused on the preventative, and hoping that we can ward off a diagnosis instead of helping prepare them for surgery and treatment.
What advice do you give to women looking to get in the industry, or maybe they're already in the industry and they want to climb up?
Don't give up. There's always going to be people that tell you that you can't, because you can. And find those mentors, find those people that are definitely wanting to be on your team, because there's definitely those that don't want to be on your team and do not want to see you succeed. And it may not be the person that you think it's going to come from, but just don't give up on what you want to do, and always be willing to learn. And networking is huge. It's uncomfortable, but it's important to take yourself outside of your comfort zone to accomplish and reach the goals that you have for yourself.
Well said. Last pressing question: your favorite vehicle?
By brand?
Or make and model?
Okay.
I'll take whatever you got.
Wow, that's tough, because I'm going to get in trouble by someone.
Okay.
I would have to say, going back to my Buick Riata convertible.
Okay.
Still one of the best cars that I ever had. Wish I would have kept
I love that. A classic.
it. Yes. Wish I would have kept it.
Yeah. Oh. Jenell, I think we can all say that. We all have that car that we're like, man, if I would have hung on to that. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure, Jenell.
Very nice to meet you, and thank you for having me today.
Yes. Thanks for all of the hard work you're doing and the example you're setting.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Women Driving the Industry with Cheyenne Malone.